Good morning and evening for some people. I'm very glad that we are together one more time before this holiday season. And I'll say this at the end also, but we'll do this today and then next week we'll take a break and then I'll come back on January the 5th. And so 1 week break, but back on January the 5th. So I'm glad to see you guys are here with us today. This is going to be, I feel like, just a special one as we are just in that season of celebration. And I know the holidays, we use that term, we throw that term around. And I know the holidays are not always a celebration for people. There's a lot of reasons why the holidays bring stress. It could be that you have family, it could be that you don't have family, it could be that you have missing people around your table for the first time. It could be that there are people that still come to your table that you've wanted them not to come to your table for a while. I don't know what it is. But if we look at the holidays as I'm celebrating because of all of the external things that are going on and the external people that make it a good time or a bad time, then you know what? It means that the holidays are always dictated by that. And I know that some of us didn't have good holidays as children, and so we have reasons with that. I know Dr. Jim talks a lot about that holidays were not a good time for his family growing up. And so, what we're going to do today is we're going to once again make an intentional decision of what and how and who we want to be in this holiday season. Has nothing to do with anybody else. Isn't that amazing? Because remember, we're the grateful gang. I haven't mentioned that. I didn't mention that last week, I don't think, but we're the grateful gang. So, you know what? We're the people that bring the thankfulness into the room. We're the people that bring that gratefulness into the atmosphere of where we are and who we're spending time with. We're not waiting on them to bring something. We're not looking around to see what's missing or what's not there or what's not right. Because you know what? We can always do that. We can. And that's what creates the stress and the pain and the sorrow. And I don't want to diminish people who have had very, very painful holiday seasons. I don't want to diminish that. But I also want to I have to believe the Bible when he says, I set before you life and death. Now choose life. I have to believe we always have a choice. It's either true all the time or it's not true, because otherwise we're trying to untangle when do we have a choice about how we respond and when do we not. And so I go with we always have a choice. So today, we're going to read from John chapter 1. And I'm going to read it from the Passion because I feel like it reads, a little bit more in a way where it just brings up some emotion in us, which is what we want to do before we go into a meditation, is have a little bit of emotion. It says, in the very beginning, the living expression was already there. I love thinking about that before anything ever existed, the living expression, Jesus, he was already there. And the living expression was with God, yet fully God, which is the part we'll never unravel. They were together, face to face, in the very beginning. And through his creative inspiration, this living expression made all things. Everything that was created, Jesus was a part of. For nothing has existence apart from him. Life came into being because of him. For his life is light for all humanity. And this living expression is the light that bursts through gloom, the light that darkness could not diminish. Now remember, in this season, we're celebrating the birth of a baby. A baby we know wasn't born in December, but we're celebrating that. And this is the living expression, is the light that bursts through gloom. If you have some gloom, the living expression can burst through it. Jesus can burst through it. Then suddenly a man appeared who was sent from God, a messenger named John, and this was John the Baptist. For he came to be a witness, to point the way to the light of life, and to help everyone believe. John was not that light, but he came to show who he is. For he was merely a messenger to speak the truth about the light. For the light of truth was about to come into the world and shine upon everyone. How amazing if we just stopped there and thought about the fact that Jesus was so important that John was sent to be a messenger. And we know that all through the Old Testament, there were messengers that were pointing to Jesus. This is how important it was that they knew who he was and knew when he would come. Not everybody believed, not everybody knew it, but God was giving every way possible for anyone who would to believe that there was a light coming. He entered into the very world he created, yet the world was unaware. He came to the very people he created, to those who should have recognized him, but they did not recognize him. But those who embraced him and took hold of his name were given authority to become the children of God. That's us. We have embraced him. We have said yes to him. Therefore, we have the authority and we are now children of God. He was not born by the joining of human parents or from natural means or by man's desire, but he was born of God. And so the living expression became a man and he lived among us. And we gazed upon the splendor of his glory, the glory of the one and only who came from the Father, overflowing with tender mercy and truth. Just close your eyes. Begin to think about the fact that Jesus, he came from a Father who was overflowing with tender mercy and truth. He came into the world that he helped create. He came to save the people that he was a part of creating. But he's a living expression that burst through the light. John taught the truth about him when he announced to the people, he's the one. Set your hearts on him. Today, that's what we're going to do. We're going to set our hearts on him. I told you he would come after me, even though he ranks far above me. For he existed before I was even born. And now out of his fullness we are fulfilled. And from him we receive grace heaped upon more grace. It's Jesus who came into the world he helped create, for the people he helped create. He said, listen, when you receive me, when you embrace me, when you accept me, what happens as you set your heart upon me is that you receive my fullness and you have grace upon grace upon grace just heaped upon you. You have ability, empowerment, you have strength, you have joy, you have rest, you have happiness, you have everything that you need. And many times we're looking outside and we're saying, oh, but Jesus, you don't know my situation. You don't know how sad I am about this. You don't know how hard this is. You don't know how difficult it is to do it this way. And he's saying, but Jennifer, I came into the world I created for you, the people I created. And every time you embrace me and receive me in all of my fullness, then you just get grace upon grace, just heaped upon you. Today, I just want you to see yourself. I don't know what you think you need during this season. I don't know what it is that you feel lacking in, but you do. And right now, as you just choose to relax, as you just choose to move into your heart zone, as you just choose to be in this moment, I want you to think about the situation you feel the most lacking in. Maybe it is that you're sad. Maybe it is that you're stressed, filled with anxiety. Maybe it is that you feel like there's just too much to do, or maybe it's that this is just always a hard time for you. Whatever it is, think of what you need. Because Jesus, the living expression, laid aside all deity, came into this world that he created for the people he created. And he says, as you set your heart upon me. And so right now, whatever it is that I think I'm lacking in, I remember that my shepherd is a good shepherd. My living expression is a good shepherd. And he comes from a father that's filled with so much tender mercy and truth. And the mercy says, I see that you feel the way that you feel, and I don't want that for you. The truth is, you can make an exchange. He's not withholding it from you. He's not keeping it from you. He's not making it hard for you to find. He's saying, as you embrace me and you set your heart upon me, the living expression, the good shepherd, as you begin to just see a path and you see your shepherd and he says, follow me. To follow him down this path, you know you can't carry this thing with you. And so you make the decision. All right, I may have to make this decision many, many more times before the end of the holiday season, but I make the decision right now that I'm not going to identify myself with this anymore. I'm not going to keep talking about this anymore because this isn't really me. Because I've set my heart on my shepherd, the living expression who comes from God, who is full of tender mercy and truth. And I will walk this path following my shepherd, knowing that he only leads me beside still waters and into green pastures. That's my shepherd. So letting go of this thing that I feel like is my identity, that I feel like is my protection, that I feel like I get secondary gain from, that I feel like I can't even know who I am without it. Letting go of that He knows. He knows it takes a little bit for me to do it. But I make this choice to set my heart on Him. I make that choice. And I set down my it. And before I can even take a step, He picks me up and begins to carry me. I'm not even having to walk the path. He's carrying me, and I feel His mercy. I feel His gentleness, His tenderness toward me. And He says, you know what? We're going to the table of provision. And all of a sudden, the path opens up, and there's this beautiful clearing. Look around. Take in the beauty of it. Knowing that this place was created, the living expression was there, and He created it just for you to have joy in this moment. And you see the table of provision. And on that table, there's more than enough of what you have felt was missing. Maybe it's love, being able to have value for everybody around you, the value that Jesus has for them. Maybe it's joy because life isn't what you thought it would be. Maybe it's rest because you worked too hard during this time trying to make everything perfect. Whatever it is, this table that you see before you in this beautiful clearing, it has so much of it. So much. And you love being here because Jesus takes you to the table and He hands you some of what you need. And you look back at the table and it's as if none of it had been taken. And it's amazing to you because you know you can come to this table as often as you need in this clearing that is so beautiful and brings you such joy and peace. And the living expression will meet you here. The living expression who chose to come into the world that He created for the people He created so that we could have this moment right now where our hearts would be set upon Him. Our hearts would be so in line with what so harmonized with what He's thinking and saying, that I know love is mine, I know joy is mine, I know peace is mine, I know rest is mine, I know faithfulness is mine, I know gentleness is mine, I know all of these things. They're mine. They're mine because this living expression, did what he did so that he could live inside of me. And as we're standing in this clearing, and I feel his love and his tender mercy, I also choose to watch him step into me. And as he steps into me, I realize he really is inside of me. I really do have access to everything he inherited, which means the only reason I wouldn't enjoy the next few days is because I forget who lives inside of me. And so right now in my own heart, I remind myself, I set my heart upon you. I choose that. You're not making me. This isn't hard. I set my heart upon you because you are the living expression. And if that's true, then as you live through me, I am now a living expression of you. I feel myself just feeling strengthened, just feeling empowered, just feeling lifted up. Because I realize this isn't my strength I'm trying to do this in. Just like he carried me down the path, he now lives inside of me. The living expression. So that I can be a living expression. And I know that when I get tired, when I get overwhelmed, or when it feels too much, grace upon grace, strength upon strength, empowerment upon empowerment. And so I even said in my heart right now, I'm gonna remember this moment. I'm gonna remember how I feel knowing he's alive inside of me because I watched him step inside of me today. I watched him do that, the living expression. And he came so that I could have this moment. He came so that I could experience him stepping inside of me. So I set my heart on him. I think about him. I think about his love. I think about his strength. I think about his joy. In this moment, I want to take this into every moment of the next couple of weeks. I want to take this feeling, the living expression. He wants to express himself through me because I can come to this table, and anytime I feel a little low on love or a little low on peace, or a little low on just joy and happiness, I can come to this table and the living expression will give it to me because I'm doing it in His strength, not my own. Because I choose to set my heart on Him. So I posture myself to be looking at Him. I go ahead and make the decision. I want to look at you more than I look at me. I want to think about you more than I think about me. Because you're the living expression. And now, because you live inside of me, I am a living expression. So I choose this. I choose to remember that I can go to this table and I can be your living expression every moment. Now we'll count to 5 and we'll open our eyes together. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We'll open our eyes together, just making the decision. That living expression stepped into me. He's in love with me. And He wants to be the expression through me. Many times we're looking around us and we're coming up with all the reasons why we can't really be the living expression because of the people that, come to our Christmases, the people that are in our lives, the things that have happened. I invite you this season, make the decision. I'm not going to let anything outside of me determine my internal thermostat. And that doesn't mean you walk around with everybody. I'm happy. You know what? I'm happy on the inside. You guys can just deal with it. I'm happy on. No, we begin to walk around. And you think about how Jesus dealt with people. You think about how He responded to people. He responded to people where they were, not where He was. And we very often want to respond to people where we are. If I've had a long day, you need to realize it and you need to be nice to me. You need to be respectful of me. You need to be kind to me. If I've prepared all this food, you need to come in being thankful. Jesus didn't do that. Jesus just invited people in. He just showed up. And so make the decision to know, if I'm going to go to all the effort of making all this food for all the people, I don't want to be miserable by the time the people get there. That's what I've done many times in the past. I've been like, you know what? I've worked so hard all day long making all this for you guys. You guys should enjoy it. And then I'm miserable the whole evening with them. And I'm like, I'm not doing that. We may have less food, but I want to enjoy it. And I want to enjoy the people, because Jesus gets to be a living expression through me. And that's what I want to leave you with today, is Jesus gets to express Himself through you. You're still going to have the same kind of personality. You're still going to have the same kind of, behavior and mechanisms and that kind of thing. He's not going to come give you a lobotomy. You're not going to become somebody different all of a sudden because Jesus is in you. You're just going to be the best version of you because He's living through you. And that's what I want you to be pondering on. Jesus, what does it look like if you live through me this season? What does it look like if you live through me today? That's what I want to experience. Because when Jesus is an expression of himself through you, you get to watch things shift and change. And it may not happen overnight, it may not even happen this season, but you still get to be the one to get to watch. And so I want to wish you all a very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. This is recorded. It will be put up on the YouTube channel. Everybody's throwing in the chat, Merry Christmas, Merry Christmas. So, Merry Christmas from all of you to all of you. Thank you for being a part of Monday Meditations, and we will be back January the 5th. And at that point, we're going to open it up where you can invite anyone and share the link. And I feel like we kind of have a routine, and I'll go through that stuff for people again. But anyway, I just wanted you guys to know Merry Christmas. Back on January the 5th, not meeting next week, but hopefully you will be seeing yourself as an expression of Jesus day in and day out. Just getting to express him to people around you. See, I see smiles that come when you start thinking about being an expression of Jesus. That makes us smile. So, you know what? Let's be an expression of Jesus because it keeps us smiling, even when people don't. All right. I will see you guys in a couple of weeks. Merry Christmas, guys. Happy New Year.